I am Scott Lunquist, and this is my wife, Stephanie.
So we've been married 23 years, and we have 2 children, Carter, and then our daughter, Reese.
I have been with the sheriff's office for 22 years. That was my first and been on my only career. At this current time, I'm at the rank of lieutenant.
So I'm a middle school teacher. Just closed out my 23rd year.
We got married, and we tithe, and I took over the finances. I'd put money in savings account and say, okay, this is our tithe, and we'll touch it. There are times when I'm like, I could use that money for something else, something that we could use or something that we want.
I'm the spender in the family. I'm getting up and getting ready. He goes, where are you going? And I went, oh, my mom and my sister and I, we shop on Saturdays.
And then lo and behold, we just I didn't handle the finances the way I should have at the time, and we would pull from that, and God would not get, ultimately he wouldn't get the first fruits. Right when the 10-10 life came up, one of the things that we had listened to a sermon that Joby had preached, and it was just in reference to Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel. And he was just talking about how Abel's gift back to God was the first fruits. And I have heard the story thousands of times because I grew up in church and we had heard it, but God had just opened my eyes to something new. I said, I'm not doing this right. And it was such a convicting point. We prayed about it for about a month or so. And I said, all right, I'm going to commit more money. But it wasn't going to be some necessarily drastic number, but it was big to us, and we put that number down on paper. Every time we got paid, I would literally go to the bank on payday, pull out the cash, and put it in an envelope and put it away. So I wouldn't touch it, I wouldn't see it in the account, it wouldn't exist, and then tied the month in cash. And then the other thing we said was, okay, what else can we do? God's blessed us just financially to be able to afford things. We're not rich by any means, but we have been blessed beyond what we expected or what we deserve. And so we decided to do a 10% on top of a 10%, meaning whatever our tithe was for the month, we would take 10% out of our savings and we would give it to some other type of ministry, whether it was Hadassah's Hope or Bring Your Brokenness or wherever God has directed us to give. And since then, it's just been crazy because then I ended up making about the same, but tithing more.
We give generously because God gave generously when he gave us his son for our salvation. And so it's an act of worship. And we want our kids to understand that it is a thing that we put together because he is faithful and he is good and he's a good father and he has lavished so many gifts on us. So why wouldn't we just do that act of obedience?
God didn't call me to figure out where the money's being spent. God called me to give. I'm being obedient to what God has called me to do. I just know that as a child of Christ, if I do what I'm called to do and be obedient, then I don't have to worry about it. I really can say that finances are probably the least of it, but we're striving so that we can figure out what God's got next for us.